So whatever questions you want to ask, I'm an open book.
All right. So I'm going to kind of start with just a lot of the basic things that we'd love to know about you. So, so Willy, you obviously work for yourself, right?
Well,
do you have a company that you work for, or you founded a company, or just tell us a little bit about that and who you are?
okay. Well, I'll start with who I am, and then we'll take I guess we'll take it from there.
Okay.
So my name is Willy Rodriguez. I am a producer, musician, musical director, co-founder of the International Salsa Museum as of 2021, an executive director as well. And also I'm the founder of a company called The Balance Agency, which is a media music company where we cater to up and coming and established artists, along with television networks and movie organizations, movie companies, to help, to provide them with music and whatever they need. The same thing with artists as well, artist consultation, marketing, production, band management, bookings. Wow. That's what we do with the Balance Agency. Now, the question as to do I work for another organization? I'm also heavily involved in media. So right now I'm currently working with the Yankees and with the Brooklyn Nets at the Yes Network. So I do television programming for them.
Oh my goodness.
On top of everything else that's going on.
Like you needed something else, but.
Right, exactly. I mean, during the pandemic, it was really rough, as all of us had it really rough during the pandemic. And so I the bookings and the gigging and all that stuff, kind of like it was put away. It was kind of shut down. The city was shut down, so it was nothing that we can do. And so I was able to pick up a gig with the Yankees just to hold it down while I do everything else, which I'm grateful for. So
yeah, so of course, if you get something like that, then you want to hang on to it because it's a good job, it's a good gig. And then again, like you just don't know what lies around the next corner, right? We're all kind of like hoping everything can kind of go on like a little normal, but one never knows anymore these days. So
yeah, exactly. And also on top of that, I forgot to mention, I'm also the musical director for the Tito Puente Jr. Orchestra and musical director for a group called La Excelencia, which came out back in 2006 around that time. Oh, wow. So I direct them as well.
Cool.
But how I got to where I'm at now is a really long story. But born and raised in New York City, my parents are from the Dominican Republic. They came here as migrants and just wanted a better future for me. And so what that would look like, they had no idea. But I was raised in a good household. And my father, at a very young age, introduced me to music and introduced me to the piano, where at the age of 5, he bought me a keyboard. And the minute that piano came out the box, it was a Casio. It was a small little Casio. And the minute that keyboard came out the box, with one finger, I started playing Happy Birthday. And he saw me, he was like, how did you know how to play that? And I'm like, I don't know. So I just kept on playing. And within 2 hours of the piano coming out of the box, he asked me if I wanted piano lessons. And I said, okay, not knowing, that it wasn't really like, I wasn't asking for it, but I just said nonchalantly, okay, I'll take piano lessons. And
sometimes you just know, right? Sometimes I think your parents just know when they see that instinctively, like, there's something there. So.
Yes. That's why I always tell parents, like, do not force your kid to play an instrument. Let it happen naturally. Because once it's natural, then it's if they want to take lessons or pursue it, it's one, you're not spending money as a parent.
Right.
And 2, the kid's gonna want to do it. So
exactly. Yeah. Kids will want to do what they want to do, not what you tell them to do, always, no matter what. So
right, exactly.
So when your parents came here, they came together, they were already together and you came as a family and they came to New York?
I was born here. My parents moved here in 78.
Okay.
From the Dominican Republic, and I was born in 82.
In the New York area?
Yes, yes, Washington Heights.
Okay. All right. So you're a New Yorker through
Yeah,
and
New
through.
Yorker. Yep. And so they came here with their culture, with the food. You know how it is as
Yeah.
immigrants, they bring everything from Dominican Republic. They brought everything. And so I grew up listening to merengue and salsa mixed with the hip hop, because we're New York, mixed with the hip hop and the jazz and the R&B. And growing up in the 90s with, I grew up in a rough area. So music really like kept me off the streets and literally saved my life. Because I could have easily turned out to be one of those kids in the streets and not have some sort of guideline, but music, my parents didn't have to work too hard to keep me off the streets, because I was involved in so much when it came to music education. As a teenager, I was part of a music program where in Washington Heights, the District 6 from the Board of Education, the District 6 had a program where they were taking kids from District 6 and introduce them to music. And it was called District 6 Jazz Band. And so I was a part of that. And in District 6 Jazz Band is where I learned everything I needed to know about music, at least the foundation of it, from musical directing to setting up speakers, running a mixing board,
Oh my
setting up
goodness.
lights, managing a band.
Wow, you were really fortunate that there was a program like that. That's amazing. And the fact that your parents were that informed to stay on top of things like that for you, that's pretty amazing. They definitely were looking out for you and saw the whole music thing progress from your little mini Casio to
Yeah, I'm just so grateful. I'm so grateful. There's nothing in this world. I can't picture my life without music. I get emotional talking about it because, especially when it comes to salsa music, hence the Salsa Museum. Now, I don't know if you want to ask me questions about salsa and stuff like that. I know we're going pretty fast with who I am, but like I said,
you can jump in whenever you want to, wherever it goes. We'll go with it.
Okay, there's just so many layers to my story. And while I was part of District 6 Jazz Band, we had a sector of that band that it broke. It was a group that broke off, and then we created another group, a subgroup called Clave Azul, and that's where I was introduced to salsa playing salsa. And from right there, I just caught the salsa bug. I mean, people say, "Tú eres dominicano, you're supposed to be playing merengue." I'm like, yeah, but salsa to me, just I connect with it more.
Were there a lot of Latin culture, mixed culture where you were when you were growing up? I mean, not just Dominican, I mean, I don't know what would have been in the area at the time in terms of, culture, nationality.
It was predominantly Dominican.
It was, okay.
Yeah, Dominican and Puerto Ricans as well. There was a few Puerto Ricans that were also part of the group, but not so many. It was more Dominican than anything else.
All right.
And but again, with that Clave Azul group, we played salsa, we played merengue, we fused a lot of music, but salsa was the genre that really caught on to me. And from there, I went to high school. Being Clave Azul, I went to high school. I went to LaGuardia Performing Arts High School, aka the Fame School.
Yeah.
And right out of high school, I became the musical director of the Tito Puente Jr. Orchestra at 19, and was also part of the group La Excelencia, which is the group that I actually traveled all over the world with, while in my freshman year of college.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
And so, when it came to the Salsa Museum, all my experiences that I learned throughout the years from a young child, all the experiences that I had from a young child till this present day, from playing with Clave Azul, traveling all over the world, playing salsa, working with Tito Puente Jr., being surrounded by these great mentors. When the opportunity came about to start the International Salsa Museum, I immediately said yes. I didn't even think about it.
It's almost like you would want to create that same environment that you had for other people, because you see exactly what happened and what it did for you, right? Like, and if you could recreate that and do it even better, modern, whatever, like how amazing would that be for young children, like to go through a system like that where they kept growing with it and then learn the skills to take it forward. So
Right, exactly, and that's exactly it. That's exactly what we're planning to bring to the International Salsa Museum, is taking my childhood experience with music and enhancing it to the 21st century. You know,
Yeah.
because the Salsa Museum, and I'll speak a little bit about the Salsa Museum, or a lot, but the Salsa Museum itself is not just going to be a place where you can come and learn about the history. It's great, and I'll say this: our mission statement is we're here to preserve the past, teach the present, and influence the future. So how is that going to look like? Clearly, you have to know about your history. You have to know about the past. You have to know Tito Puente and Hector Lavoe, Celia Cruz, but you also have to know the musicians, you know, that took part of the upbringing of salsa and the culture and the music. But at the same time, not only are you going to learn about the history, but you're also going to learn how to play the music, how to dance it. Whatever instrument you want to play that's within the salsa family, you know,
including dancing.
Yeah, right, exactly. So like whatever you want to play, whether it's the piano, the trombone, the trumpet, the conga, the timbales, the cowbell, whatever you want to play, we're going to teach you that at those instruments at the museum. And at the same time, we're also going to not only teach you how to play the instrument, but we're going to have a state-of-the-art recording studio where you can actually record yourself playing the music, you know?
It's going to be so cool. And the last time you and I spoke, you had mentioned, you know, how important it is, of course, to know the background of the music and the people involved with it and making it so important. But then also being able to create new music as well, you know, that lives on, like the older stuff that is so familiar to people. But what do we do that makes it new and current and keeps the ball rolling, and so that this music never gets lost? The legacy is there, and then the newness comes along as well. So
right, exactly. And as a child, I had that with Clave Azul, right? But then also I have to give a big shout out to the people who used to run the Boys Harbor Conservatory of Music. It was a school that was, I believe it was on 104th and Madison, around that area. And so in Boys Harbor Conservatory of Music, you had the best of New York City within the salsa scene teaching music to the kids, you know? So like you had Sonny Bravo, I took a few classes with him while I was there. And Sonny Bravo was one of Tito Puente's piano player for many, many years. Like where else in the country where you have access to a person like Sonny Bravo? And then you had other musicians that when they weren't on tour with these big name salsa artists, they were all at Boys Harbor, either giving lessons or holding a rehearsal. And the great thing about Boys Harbor is that you were able to sit in the rehearsals and see these bands perform.
It's really cool that these people wanted to do that and saw a similar thing in helping young kids also like learn the skills. That's amazing. Very fortunate and very amazing that those people would do that. So
yeah, and it's unfortunate that when Boys Harbor closed down, there was no other place in the city where you can learn about Latin culture and Latin music the way you were able to learn it at Boys Harbor.
And it's a double thing, because number one, you're learning an amazing skill and talent, and then to your point, you're keeping young people on the straight and narrow path, you know, so that they're not finding other things to do that aren't as healthy. So.
Yeah, right, exactly. And so, you know, with the Salsa Museum, we want to create what I had in my childhood, those programs, and bring them to the Bronx and to New York. Another thing that's unfortunate is that the Board of Education cuts off. The first thing to go when they're cutting budget is music and physical education.
All the arts. Yeah.
All the arts gets cut off. And then so the schools that are teaching music and art, they're teaching jazz, they're teaching contemporary music and pop, they're teaching classical, they're teaching about Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, and Brahms, but they're not teaching you, you know, who was Celia.
Right.
You know? They're not teaching you Tito Puente. You know, they're not even teaching you who, like, you know, the jazz greats, yes, Dizzy Gillespie and all those guys. But the main people that played such a big part in Latin culture, you're not getting that.
Right.
So we want to change that.
Yeah, we're missing out on those important moments. So that's very cool.